TFL EV is brought to you by Flow Charger, maker of reliable, high-quality charging stations for your electric vehicle.
I remember a couple of years ago when Mini introduced the Cooper SE, the all-electric Mini, and it was, for a while there, the cheapest new EV you can buy. It started at just a tick under $30,000, and it went 110 miles on a single charge. Now fast forward to 2022, and we have this vehicle, the Chevrolet Bolt EUV, and in comparison, this Chevrolet Bolt seems like an absolute screaming deal. This EUV starts at just over $27,000 for the 2023 model year. It goes well over twice as far as the Mini on a single charge. It charges faster. It's got 4 doors. It's a crossover SUV. It has way more room, and I personally think that this Bolt EUV is probably the best value EV on the market today. Here's why. The Bolt is a name which has been around for quite a number of years now, and recently Chevrolet revamped the Bolt with an all-new generation, and at the same time they released this model, the Bolt EUV, which is a slightly higher, slightly larger version of the Chevrolet Bolt. It's a small crossover. Now, for 2023, the Bolt EUV received a significant price drop. That's right, a price cut. How often do you hear that nowadays? Of over $5,000. So this vehicle now starts in the $27,000 range, which is really pretty incredible considering how much stuff you get. Now this is a fully loaded Premier. It's got the red line package. This one comes in at just under $38,000. So it's quite a bit more expensive, but still, even at $37,000, $38,000, the amount of tech and features that this car offers are, well, pretty incredible. When you consider that like a base model Chattanooga built Volkswagen ID4 starts at $37,000, $38,000, an Ioniq 5 starts at over $40,000, and you can get every bell and whistle, including the hands-free Super Cruise system in the Bolt EUV for under $38K. All right, it really starts making sense. Now let's talk about the design. You know, I wasn't a big fan of this car when I first saw it in pictures, but in person, it's not an unattractive little thing. It's got some kind of cool, funky designs, and especially in the front here, I like the stacked headlight and running light design. You got your main beam down here with your running light up top. This is the Premier trim, so we have this color-matched front end here. I like that they kind of incorporated this faux grille with the actual grille underneath. We have the blacked-out bow tie emblem here. You can see we've got the front-facing camera. Once again, all for under $38,000. Very attractive. Now coming along the side, we start to see some of those red line features like the Corvette style Grand Sport stripes here on the wheels. We got these little accents up here on the mirrors. Now the charging port is located here on the front fender in the Bolt EUV. Pop it open and you have access to both your J1772 and your CCS charge port there. Pretty convenient. I like how they incorporated Bolt EUV along the front fender, something you don't see on a lot of cars. This model does have the sun and sky package, so we have the sun and sound package, excuse me, so we've got the dual pane sunroof, we've got these integrated roof bars in this kind of cool satin material. The Premier has this little chrome stripe along the side. Once again, as we make our way to the rear, you see we've got those Grand Sport style stripes down there. And then in the back, we got the red Bolt EUV emblem. And kind of a funky thing about the Bolt, if you notice, the tail lights lift up on this panel. So these aren't actually the brake lights. The brake lights are actually located down here in the bumper. Kind of a funny little fact about the Bolt EUV. I also liked how you got this blacked out strip in the rear with the black emblem. I mean, it does look like a Stormtrooper. This is not an unattractive car. I really think it's quite a good design. And on the inside, you got some cool features as well. So as we step inside the Bolt EUV, a couple of things you notice. First of all, we've got this premium seat material with the red stitching along the seats, which is a nice kind of complement to the red stripes on the outside of the vehicle. And the seats, I'm happy to say, are much better than like the first generation Bolt, which was, well, it was like sitting on a park bench. It's one of the big improvements to this model. Now, there is a start button in this model. Put your foot on the brake, push the button, and it glides into life, and we see a lot of digital screens and clusters. So this main screen is a 10.2-inch system, and I find it quite easy to use. It's got Apple CarPlay, it's got Android Auto, and the colors on it are pretty spectacular. I really think overall the quality of the screen itself is very good. I actually like the GM system a lot. I like having these little shortcuts. It's very easy to use, very intuitive. You get familiar with it super quickly. You've got energy screens. You can see some the flow of the car. You can mess with your charging settings as well in there. It's a very good screen, and we also have physical knobs too for like the volume, which is just fantastic. Now below that, check this out. We've got automatic climate control with heated and ventilated seats for both the driver and the passenger. Once again, 38K, heated and ventilated seats. And then below that, the wireless charging pad. And then we see our push button transmission back here, park, reverse, neutral drive. And then we got a button here for the one pedal driving mode. This is fantastic, by the way. I love that you don't have to like go dig into settings and, you know, click something and spin a monkey above your head. Like you just push the button to engage the one pedal. Cup holders, very, very, very accessible, not in the way. Fantastically open center console design, very usable. And then the center armrest is not super wide, but it does go very, very deep. So decent storage in this vehicle. We have the leather wrapped steering wheel, and you notice some of the sensors on the top of the steering wheel, as well as this little thing here for your Super Cruise. We'll talk about that in a second. And then fully digital instrument cluster as well, which looks great. It's pretty crystal clear, very similar to like the first generation Bolt and kind of the way it operates, but it's nice to have that. On the left side of the steering wheel, got full automatic headlights. It's a nice interior. There's a couple of points where maybe the plastics aren't very good, but even like up on the door where you'd expect like a really hard plastic, it's got a little bit of squish to it. Some of the steering wheel buttons, like on the back of the steering wheel, feel a little bit cheap. This one does, of course, have the glass dual pane roof. It doesn't go all the way back, but it is pretty decent in how far back it goes. We also have the rear view camera for the mirror at 37 and some change. You get the rear view camera. This thing is properly loaded. There's very little features that you don't get in this car. And once again, we're talking about a vehicle maxed out that is still significantly cheaper than your typical ID4. Fully loaded, it's about the same price as a very base model ID4. Even if you compare this to like the Hyundai Kona, that also starts like in the $33-some thousand range. So this is a full $6,000 cheaper than the Hyundai Kona. This really is a phenomenal value. And the nice thing about the EUV is the rear seat room is actually pretty good as well. Let's go check it out. Stepping into the back of the Chevy Bolt EUV, look at the space. I'm 6'1". This is my riding/driving position. I got really, really good legroom. Headroom is a little bit compromised when I sit fully upright, but I never sit fully upright. I'm more like this, and then it's kind of okay. I would like this to be a little bit higher though. It does have a sculpt in it, but for taller passengers on a long, long trip, that would be a little bit of a pain. But we do have, in this case, a USB-C and a USB-A charging point, and we also have heated rear seats. Very, very, very cool. This thing's got heated everything. Heated steering wheel, heated front seats, heated rear seats. We also have a Bose premium audio system. Now fold this down, you got a little bit of space back here. But the nice thing about the Bolt EUV is it's got kind of a high riding position. So if you're older, if you have like knee injuries or whatever, it's really easy to get in and out. All right, let's go ahead and put this vehicle into drive and talk about some of the specifications. Now, this vehicle has a 65 kilowatt hour battery, and that gives it an EPA rated range of 247 miles on a single charge. And one of the drawbacks with the Bolt EUV, and it is a significant drawback, is it's not going to be much of a road tripper because the peak DC fast charge rate is really quite low by 2022 standards. We're only talking 55 kilowatts of peak DC fast charging rate. Now, they say you can add, what, 90 miles of range or something in 35 minutes is the quoted statistic. But compared to like some of the newer EVs, like the Hyundai Kia products that'll do, you know, over 220 peak kilowatt fast charging rate, yeah, 55 is pretty slow. Now, this does not ride, interestingly enough, on the new GM architecture. This is not on the new Ultium batteries. This is still more the older GM battery technology, but it still is a very competitive range for the price point, especially if you consider the $27,000 one, 247 miles of range. I mean, that is more than you'll ever need on a daily commute, and even on shorter trips. That should get you where you need to go if you're trying to get to grandma's house. Now, from a driving standpoint, the car drives like a car. It is not the most dynamic EV on the road. When you floor it, it gives you a little push. It's got about 200 horsepower. The one pedal system is very, very good though. It actually gives you a decent amount of off accelerator regen. So not a huge amount of power. The suspension is a little firmer than I would like. Honestly, this is not a sports car, so I'd like it to be just a little bit softer, but the steering's good, and it's a very, very quiet cabin overall. It's very unintrusive. Now let's talk about some of the driver assistance tech, because that is where the Bolt EUV really shines. This vehicle has Super Cruise. It's an option on the EUV, and Super Cruise is one of the coolest new pieces of tech in any new car. On pre-mapped highways, this vehicle can be driven completely hands-free, and I do mean completely hands and feet free. You still have to be monitoring it. It looks at your eyes to make sure you're paying attention, but of all the autonomous systems I've driven, and I've driven them all, I've driven all the Tesla systems and all the Ford systems and the Hyundais and the Kias and whatever, this is the best. It's the most impressive. It doesn't zigzag in the lanes. It's dead solid. It feels really good going down the road. Super Cruise is an absolute game changer for those that are commuting in traffic as well, because like it just makes traveling so much less tiring, especially on a long trip. Apart from that though, pros, range is good, technology is good. Cons, ride quality is a little too hard. The charging on DC is just not where it really needs to be for 2022. But I still love this car a lot. I really, really do. GM knows how to do a great electric car. They've got cool features too that not a lot of other manufacturers use. Like here in the steering wheel, we've got this paddle. If you're slowing down to a stoplight and you need a little bit of extra slowdown, pull that paddle. It won't engage the friction brakes. It'll just give you even more electricity into the battery. This car is great. Oh, another con. No all-wheel drive option. So in Colorado, it's nice to be able to go out with an all-wheel drive version of a car. Now, of course, the Kona EV, which is probably this vehicle's direct competitor, also doesn't have all-wheel drive, but a lot of the newer offerings from Volkswagen, from Hyundai, like the Ioniq 5, right, they do offer all-wheel drive, something that this car is missing. But overall, this vehicle has been a really big surprise to me. I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I do. These are such easy cars to drive, easy cars to live with. They're affordable to run. They're just packed full of features and tech, like this digital rearview mirror. These are stuff you'd expect to see on a Cadillac or like a Hummer EV. We have a Hummer EV, and honestly, the tech in this car is not all that far off of the Hummer EV. It's pretty amazing at under $38,000. Now let me know what you guys think in the comment section below of the Chevrolet Bolt EUV. Let me know what you think of my opinions, if I'm off my rocker, if you agree with me. And as always, this has been Tommy with TFL EV. We'll see you in the next video.